All right, Carnivore Leadership by Ramón Colón-López, or CZ as he goes by to people that know him. Carnivore Leadership, taking charge instead of taking shit. Leadership lessons from a JSOC pararescueman and the highest ranking U.S. enlisted military member. So this is CZ's story from his I believe he was 33 years in the military, specifically the Air Force, where he was a JSOC pararescueman. And I know he did all kind. I think he did like the SEAL training and Ranger training. He's a very distinguished career in the military, very widely respected. And this is his book, his leadership lessons that he got through his 30 plus years in the military. I personally love military books, memoirs. Recent ones really resonate with me, not only because I have friends that were in the military and served in Afghanistan and Iraq, but also just I think these types of books are just by default good for leadership and life lessons. I mean, these military memoirs, like at the highest level, these guys, they have to be precise. They can't make mistakes. As they always say, their mistakes are written in blood, because the previous mistakes made that they have lessons learned from, someone died or someone was severely wounded, right? And so I just love books like this. They resonate with me. The other cool thing about this one is it's a short book. It's so digestible, easy to read. It's his silver bullets. And so quickly on the concept of what is carnivore leadership, I wrote down a lot of things from this, but I think I wrote down 7 or 8 things that I'll read here. But what is he talking about with carnivore leadership? So for him, carnivores were loyal, dependable, lethal, and disciplined. Conversely, herbivores were unreliable, lazy, and sloppy. They impeded operational progress. Herbivores were whiners who expected more in spite of their mediocre actions. Love that, right? Like that to me, he's basically saying that there are carnivores and there are herbivores in this world, and carnivores are take charge, they're on offense. Herbivores are more farmers, right? They're people who sit back, they graze, they want things to come to them, they're comfortable. He does talk a little bit about how it's not always, like life isn't meant to be that extreme. Of course, there are in-betweens, but the point still resonates both with me and with fans of his and people who are gonna read this book, like I hope all of you do, is like you wanna have, when you're managing a team, running an organization in the military, you want a team of carnivores. You don't want people that are just willing to sit back and graze and wait for things to come to them. And oh, by the way, those herbivores are always the complainers, the whiners, that they're the victims, that things are too hard for them. So that concept, boom, already kind of nailed me with the carnivore leadership. He goes through, each chapter is basically his silver bullets. So it's like quick. His story is essentially that throughout his 3+ decades, he would just keep a notebook and he would always write down quotes or lessons that he learned, like essentially documenting his whole life. And that's kind of what this book is that it's divided up into his silver bullets. You can see he's got silver bullet number 1. If you want to fly with the eagles, don't hang around with the turkeys. And then he goes through and explains what he means by those. And because it's so short, I mean, the whole book is about 150 pages. It's an easy, fast read. And I wrote down quite a few things that I have here. One of his silver bullets is amateurs train until they get it right. Professionals train until they can't get it wrong. Loved that one. He talks a lot in this book about how knowledge just to learn more means nothing. And in fact, learning stuff is basically a waste of time unless it leads to action. That's a lot of what this is like there are people you see this all the time. You see this in sports, you see this in business, where they train and train and train because they want to get something right. And then that's it. The moment is past. Whereas professionals, that stuff is evergreen, right? You're never done, right? You're doing it so much so that it's automatic. You can never get it wrong again. Like that's what the professionals do. I loved that one. Another great one that I had written down here is, and this, he kind of was talking more about business here. While over-communication and transparency are great for awareness, long-winded meetings are motivation's greatest foe. They are antithetical to the productive intent of sharing information and can create stress by stealing productivity time away from your top people. Another one that if you're in business, right, where we've all gone through that, where it's like you waste time in meetings talking about doing the thing instead of doing the thing. That happens in business all the time. You want to be around carnivores who are about that action, who are like, look, do we have to keep talking about this, or can we just go do the work? We don't always have to talk and talk and talk and document all the things that we want to do. What if we just do the thing and then iterate and make changes and get better at that and train? And so it's like, I love stuff like that. Another big one that resonated with me that I wrote down here was, the most desperate people I have encountered are those who are willing to sell their soul for an assignment or position while overselling their capabilities on paper and trampling over anyone who gets in their way. Resonated with me so much. I'm not a good self-promoter, and not to compare myself to him. This guy's done way more than I ever will, but I see myself in kind of as the more quiet professional. I think there are a lot of people like that are not good self-promoters, but we don't get a lot of the rewards, right? Because we like to be quiet and just get work done and execute. There are a lot of people, particularly in business, who are good at talking about the things they can do and they can sell themselves. But then when they get in it, there's actually no execution, although it's never their fault, right? That one really resonated with me. Is just like, there are people that they'll trample over anyone and oversell their abilities. This happens in business all the freaking time. And it's very frustrating and challenging. And so again, to me, that lesson resonated with me. Is I don't want to be around people like that. That's another thing that I kept thinking of. Another one that related to that, I wrote down, image is a first impression. Daily demeanor is a lasting impression. This is also something that I resonate with because I don't give good first impressions. For me, I kind of come off as standoffish. I'm more of an introverted person, but I have a pretty big burning fire in me. I'm very competitive. I want to do well. You watch me on a day-to-day basis. I used to tell people this all the time. Like, if you only meet me one time, you're not going to like me. You have to see the things I do every day, day in and day out, the things that I work on. For example, I'm a believer in if you can't do it every day, why do it at all? I take that approach to exercise, to reading, whatever it is. If it's not something I can do lifelong, do I really want to do it? And that one really resonated with me pretty well. Last one that I wrote down here that for business I liked a lot was, he said, I once believed that loyalty was the foundation of trust. I later realized I had it backwards. Developing trust and having confidence in organizational leaders is a conduit to loyalty. When people believe wholeheartedly in the direction of an organization, loyalty is attained. This is something that people, myself included, get backwards a lot. When you think about like relationships and communications, you think like, so in order to trust someone, you have to be loyal to them. But you have to first trust them in order to be loyal, right? It's kind of, we have that backwards. And his whole point here is that you've got to believe in the direction that you're going. This is another thing that is tough in business today, is that do you really believe in the mission? And the belief is not so much as important as are the actions aligned with that, right? You talk about, like, one of the things I think about with culture is values plus behavior. It doesn't really matter the things that you say, is do the behaviors align with those things? And that, I thought about that a lot when reading that part of the book, that section of the book is like, do you have conviction in the direction that you're going? And then that's what creates loyalty. That's what makes people want to stay. That's what makes people want to follow you. So for me, I loved this book. It's so digestible. It's for so many people in leadership, people that work on teams. It's just a great read. So Carnivore Leadership, loved the concept, loved all the little things that I mentioned to you guys here. Definitely recommend going out and reading it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.